Time now to get Labour's take on our stories this morning. And I'm joined by Bridget Phillipson, who's the Shadow Secretary of State for Education, who's joins me now from Sunderland. A very good morning to you, Bridget Phillipson. Thanks for talking to us. Two Labour group council leaders have called on Keir Starmer to resign over his stance on a ceasefire in Gaza. We've also seen dozens of Labour MPs calling for a ceasefire. The opposition to his stance appears to be increasing, doesn't it?
I understand the strength of feeling in the Labour Party, and all of us are concerned about what's taken place in Israel, the horrific terrorist attack, the ongoing detention of hostages, but alongside that, the suffering of too many Palestinian people. We want to see urgent humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. Not enough has been getting in. It's also vital that British nationals and others are able to leave Gaza, and I hope that the government will continue all their efforts to make sure that British nationals are able to leave as quickly as possible. But alongside that, after such a horrific terrorist attack, of course it's right. In fact, it's the duty of the Israeli government to make sure that they can defend themselves from future attacks. This is about what's right for the people of Israel and Gaza. This is not, the primary focus of this is not the Labour Party.
And that's pretty much what Keir Starmer was saying when he made a speech this week, trying to quell discontent over his stance on this issue. But the question I'm asking is, has it made any difference? It doesn't appear to have done.
I understand how strongly people feel, especially when they have connections to the region, and it's the strength of the Labour Party that we're a diverse party where we have that reach. But I don't believe our focus should be on these kinds of matters. Our main primary focus should be on making sure that more humanitarian aid gets into Gaza, and that we do get to a situation where we can secure a safe Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. And a political solution is the only way in which we will get there. And I do welcome the efforts of the US government, particularly in this regard. And it's welcome to see Secretary of State Blinken in Israel today to advance that cause. But we also need to see alongside that the release of hostages. It was impossible not to be appalled and shocked by the terrible scenes that we saw a matter of weeks ago. But equally, every day on our screens, we see suffering of Palestinian children and of others. And that's why it is absolutely essential we do get to that political solution.
Well, yes, and the UN is saying today that at least 20 people have been killed at a school being used as a shelter at the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza. Now, there are still details we don't know. We don't know the cause at the moment. But how concerned are you, in more general terms, about civilian casualties?
Of course, I'm desperately concerned about civilian casualties. And every day we see horrifying images on our television screens. I would just urge some caution in that we have seen in the past the difficulties that can arise out of arriving at a judgment too soon before all of the facts have emerged. So I don't think it's helpful to provide a running commentary in that kind of way. But of course, it's essential that everything is done to minimise the potential for civilians to be in harm's way and for Israel to act in accordance with international law.
Is there a point at which Labour would call for a ceasefire if there was evidence that civilian casualties were continuing to rise, for example? Is there a point at which you draw the line?
What matters most now is securing those humanitarian pauses to allow for greater aid, for food, for water, for supplies to get into Gaza, and to secure the ongoing talks to secure the release of hostages. I don't think it's the right position to adopt, because given that we are seeing hostages still being held and the ongoing threat that Hamas poses to Israel, I don't think that's the right approach right now. And I don't see, given that we're dealing with a terrorist organisation in the form of Hamas, that that's a situation that will work.
You say that you're pushing for a humanitarian pause in the fighting. The US Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, is in Tel Aviv this morning, and it's understood that's what he will be pushing for. Do you think he'll be successful?
It's absolutely right that we do see that kind of pause, and that, as you say, that is the position of the US government as well. The US, of course, are a big and important player on this and have significant influence, and I know that they will be doing all they can to make sure that we do see improvements in terms of humanitarian support into Gaza. It is a humanitarian emergency. It is essential that supplies get in, but we can't lose sight either of the fact that hostages are continuing to be held, and the appalling scenes that we saw in southern Israel that have led to these ongoing hostilities.
I wonder if we can turn our attention to the AI conference that has been held in the last couple of days. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said that people shouldn't be worried about AI's risk to jobs. He said he could see it as an opportunity to create jobs. Meanwhile, Elon Musk said that technology will one day eliminate all jobs. So what's your view? Who's right?
I think that the use of technology and AI has enormous potential. Take, for example, health diagnostics, health technology, the treatment of cancer, the ability to diagnose and identify cancer earlier. I think there is enormous potential. But alongside that, there are risks. And that's why it is right that we need to move faster to regulate as a country and also secure international support around all of that. I did think the Prime Minister's wider comments yesterday in the middle of a cost of living crisis were staggeringly out of touch. He should be focused on growing our economy, on making sure we've got more well-paid, highly skilled jobs right across our country. That's what Keir Starmer is setting out today here in the North East, how Labour will make sure that we get Britain building, that we secure those brilliant jobs of the future, and that we give young people every opportunity, the skills that they need to compete in the modern world. So yes, AI brings benefits and brings opportunities, but we've got to be mindful of the risks alongside that too, and that's why government action is needed.
Well, Elon Musk said last night that the summit will go down in history for being profound. Seems like it was a bit of a success.
Well, I hope so, because I think it's in all of our interests that we as a country grapple with those opportunities and those risks. But I do believe we need to move faster and more quickly as a country to regulate where there are concerns around, for example, how AI will be used to spread incorrect information, the use of deepfake technology, and the impact that could have on our democracy and on democracies around the world. So it's about getting the balance right. But there are real opportunities that will come of using technology, for example, in the NHS and in diagnostics.
OK, well, Bridget Phillipson, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.